All right, Chaz, we are back from commercial break with Barrel or Nah. Anything else that you
Exciting.
want? Anything else that you want to follow up with from previous weeks or whatever?
I'm trying to think. I think we're all pretty good. I think that, yeah, I think the surf world just keeps on ticking on. Stories just rolling out.
You hit
Just
5,000.
over 5,000, man. I'm well past 5,000 now.
Is there
The
anybody
thing
else?
about that's, I wrote the story about writing 5,000 stories, and I would have hoped that it was satirical, like 5,000 beach crit stories, right? We all know what those are. Let's be honest. But the honest, like, congratulations, the real heartfelt congratulations in the comments, and I got a bunch on Instagram too, made me feel bad. I was like, oh, you shouldn't be congratulating on me on this on this amount of utter shallow nonsense that I have been garden hosing you with for almost 10 years. I wake up in the morning, I get the garden hose of senselessness out, and I just start spraying. Just every,
And
like, blue moon, I maybe stumble on something culturally valuable. The rest of it is just straight nonsense.
and even the 5,000th story, I just presumed that it would be some, you know,
Valuable.
something valuable, some important insight into the surf world, and nope, it was just here's how I got to 5,000 essentially.
Yep. Just by being dumb. And here's to 5,000 more dumbnesses.
So as it relates to that, I published an interview with Brett Barley this week. Brett Barley, has embraced the vlog thing, and he was the early adopter. He published his first YouTube video 1 year and 1 day to the date after YouTube launched. So,
1 year and 1 day.
so YouTube launched in 2015, or I'm sorry, 2005. It was like February 14th, 2005. He launched February 15th, 2006. So YouTube was 1 year old. So that's how early he was into the game. And I think he was like 14 years old at the time. So, anyways, as it relates to your and my conversation, can you still hear me? Your visual went away.
Yeah, no. Am I back?
Okay, cool.
Is it visual still gone?
Yeah, no, it'll pop back up, I'm sure. It tends to sometimes. But
Okay.
anyways, Brett Barley, what he was talking about is he's learned that none of his viewers demand or even appreciate his level of perfectionism. So he would spend tons of time editing the video because he wants the editing to be incredible. He wants there to be a narrative arc. He wants the surfing to be incredible. And then occasionally he wouldn't have the time. So he would just put out what he would consider like a C quality video. And the C
Yep.
quality video would get twice as many views,
Yeah.
And it's just in this modern world, it seems to be that frequency is what matters most. Just maintaining the conversation is what matters most.
Somebody said in the comments, quantity has a quality all its own. I can't remember who that's a quote from, but
It's
yeah.
the way of the world now.
Yeah.
As long as you're chiming in, people are happy. So, all right. Well, here's to 5,000 more.
Yep. Here we go.
Barrel or Nah. First one comes in from a listener.
Hey, Cav and David, barrel or nah? Folks under, I'm going to say 30, 35, aka millennials, using the F-bomb in normal conversation, social media posts. I kind of feel like I pretty much know what it is, being of a different generation. Let me know what you guys think. And keep up the work.
Dropping an F-bomb in casual conversation.
This is a hard one for me. I married a sailor. Cersei Wallace will just drop F-bombs like it's going out of style, but in like a total casual conversation about nothing, right? Like, and so, and it's totally endearing to me when she does it. Like, I think it's wonderfully, perfectly cute. So I can't be hypocritical here. I'm going to have to go with Beryl. I'm going to have to layer. If you can do it as part of, the only time I really don't like swears is when they are awkwardly delivered. It's the same person, smoke a cigarette all day in front of me, but the person who is aware that they're smoking, the way that they are holding the cigarette, the way they are blowing the smoke. So this self-awareness thing is unchill. So I think same with dropping F-bombs. If you're just like spraying them out there, just brrr, machine gun F-bomb, and they all come naturally in the cadence, keep it up. If you are aware and if you're like pausing, and then I went to the store and then it's gross.
So I'm wondering if it's gender specific. Like, it's funny to hear old people cuss, like in I don't know, I feel like it was Happy Gilmore, like at some point in my evolution of watching movies, I saw a grandma cuss, and it might have been an Adam Sandler movie, and it was the funniest thing I had ever seen. And then a child cussed in a movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, because it was so out of context. So I'm wondering if that's why Cersei gets a pass, is that it is still a little bit novelty to see a lady dropping an F-bomb.
It's just such part of her patois. It's the way she speaks, right? It's just like from years of growing up as a dirty rat snowboarder. It's just she speaks the lingua franca of dirty rat snowboarders and skaters, which that's her, and of course when she's on a call business wise, where like she has the off switch for it, but I enjoy it in our everyday communication.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess when I was listening to the listener call, I identified what they were tapping into, which is it used to be an anomaly to hear somebody drop an F-bomb, and it used to mean something. It used to mean that they were pissed. And so it kind of alerted, it was a signal to anybody around that there was something, important happening or something serious happening. And now millennials, gender, regardless of gender, do use it in common conversation. Like, it's lost a lot of its punch. And I think that he might be identifying, it's a little bit of a shame that something that once was reserved for importance, but also dirty, is now made commonplace.
I get it, but that's what's happened, and so we just need to move on and replace it with a new bad word. Which I think if we started dropping Logans, but like really hold it back for something like, you are being such a Logan head, or you Loganed that one good, or Logan you. I think we could do that.
Logan was being such a cone. You could use cone. I mean, there is something, right, that will replace it. But I think you're right. Like, to be the old guy who just is pissed at the millennials for doing things the way that millennials do them is also stupid.
I mean,
it's a losing battle that doesn't.
Because let's be honest, millennial stuff, none of it is really barrel. Like, millennials somehow, and I apologize to our millennial listeners, tell me that I'm wrong, but
yeah,
and I know they're just punching bags, poor millennials, but millennials are a pretty rotten generation.
Well, so there's the way to fight back is if you embrace it and start cursing, using an F-bomb all the time, then it becomes even more commonplace. But as the older generation, if you just let them be stupid and you don't incorporate it into your lexicon, you stand firm in the way that you've always stood, there's a good chance that it's a passing trend and that it goes away in a few years.
You rise above.
Yeah, rise above.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think I'm going no barrel on it. You can go barrel on it.
I'm going barrel.
We'll stay separated on that one. Second one, a little controversial. Husband sitting shotgun. This came in from Dave, an emailer, and he said, I'm not much of a storyteller, so I'm going to get straight to the point. Husband sitting in the passenger seat of the family vehicle. I get it, times have changed, but whenever I see a dude sitting in the passenger side of the vehicle in what looks to be a family outing, doesn't look right to me. Am I a misogynist? What's going on here? Thanks, Dave.
Sometimes these barrels are not cut so deep. They cut to like the things that go unspoken.
Nobody will address this. I mean, there's no chance anybody else in the surf world or mainstream media would address this topic.
I totally agree with Dave. I don't know what, and it's probably patriarchal, bad programming that I need to go look at and weed out of my evil heart, right? But if I'm if we're going out as family, or even me and the wife going out, I drive 99.9% of the time. The only time I don't drive is if she thinks I've consumed too much, which I never think that. So she's wrong there, but I'll acquiesce to that one. But otherwise, I drive. And I don't think it's about anything hierarchical. Clearly not, because she, I think, prefers to get work done or whatever she's doing in the passenger seat. I like to drive. But this is exactly, I hear Dave. And if I see some other dude sitting in the passenger seat and his wife's driving, I think either that dude's, yeah, it's awful, but I'll just be honest. I think that dude's like, I don't think it actively, but probably instinctively think that dude is a weak little man. Doesn't know how to drive or something. Like, yeah.
Let me dig in a little bit here. Who's the better driver between you and Cersei?
Probably Cersei.
Really? So that has nothing to do with it.
No.
Interesting. Because
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of things happening here. Yes, the male gender is pre-wired to have certain competencies that the other gender, that the female gender doesn't.
Oh, I like the you're
wait.
Even more coals.
I'm not saying that driving is one of those. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's acknowledge that each gender has its own pre-wired dispositions and skill sets, right? And there's a bell curve.
To say that today is entirely cancelable, but I fully agree with you. Yes, men are different. To say that men are different from women, and generally, as a rule, some things are done better by men, opening stuck jars, and some things are done better by women. Gardening.
Whatever. You don't even have to, even picking them is going to sound bad. But yes, let's just make that statement. That's what I believe, that each gender has its own skill sets that, by the way, exist on a bell curve.
Gender or sex.
And then you have, an outlier on, one side that is better than the other gender, of course. But there is a bell-shaped curve of just, for whatever reason, evolutionarily, that's the way that the genders have developed. Okay. Now, in addition to that, there's all of the patriarchal things that you kind of pointed to that have fostered in a belief system that may not be accurate anymore. So at some point, when automobiles were developed, men drove them because men were leaders in society and this was a new thing and we're going to let the leaders then do this thing. And so that has become the norm. And it didn't mean necessarily that men were better drivers than women. That never even got assessed. It was just built into society that the males were going to do this thing. And I think we're still living with some of that, structure to this day. And so, yeah, and by the way, it could in fact be that males became better drivers because they had more experience driving because of those things, and so now we're living in a situation to where the males are going to drive. That's what's happening now. So I think that there's two different things happening and I can't identify which one it is, but the fact that you're going to throw everything off and just say, no, Cersei's a better driver than I, makes me think that there's another thing that's built into the genders, which is maybe males just like being in control more.
Yeah, could be.
And driving is a control thing. And that women are more comfortable being out of control and allowing the male to think that they're in control or whatever it is, like that could be part of it.
There's definitely something, because I do feel very uncomfortable when I'm in the passenger seat. Like, I don't really know what to do. I'm like, I'm not critiquing the driving per se, because again, she's a great driver. So it's not like, I think something's going to go wrong. I just feel very uncomfortable, which is a me problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go no barrel on dudes sitting in the passenger seat.
See, where this goes awry for me, like I can understand globally kind of everything that I just explained or tried to explain, probably very poorly. But where this goes wrong for me is when you see the dude sitting shotgun and you go, that guy, his wife wears the pants in the family.
Exactly, but you do feel that. Don't you?
When you make an insulting assessment about their entire lifestyle and their family dynamic because he's sitting shotgun, that's the problem.
That's exactly, and that is again something I need to go look at. This is something I need to start. Too bad we don't have the therapy sponsor that we used to have. Why did we lose that therapy sponsor?
Because you made a suicide joke. That's why we lost him, but you didn't even make a suicide joke. You made a commentary on people winning the lottery, how there's a correlation between they end up ruining their
Yeah,
lives
it was
and
fact.
some
It
of
was
them
a
committing
fact.
suicide.
But
And
we
then,
really do need some therapy. I mean,
well,
I need some.
sadly, a listener's girlfriend or wife who happened to be in the car while he was listening had experienced suicide in her life with a very close person, contacted our sponsor, not even us directly, and complained that we had made a suicide joke. Quote.
Oh man, brutal. Yeah. Well,
We lost a year's worth of advertising because of it.
and now, I'm a poorer man because of it. I would have utilized that therapy, but now I'm judging men in passenger seats.
Exactly. What a waste.
Yep.
Yeah, well, not that you asked her that I need to throw her under the bus, but I always drive as well, and it is because I'm a more competent driver,
Better driver.
than my spouse. Yes, and she would acknowledge that as well. Like,
Sure.
so it just is. It's practical in our purposes.
It's the rule.
It is the rule. I'm gonna go. Also,
No barrel.
husband sitting shotgun. I'm going no barrel, but I'm totally willing and eager to rework the gender norms in society for
Please.
a broader and more accepting environment for all of us.
If you're a male shotgunner listening, please call in with your experience. What's going on and how you are not a total and complete wuss.
Yeah, how you feel about us judging you every time we see you sitting shotgun in the Honda Odyssey with the kids in the back. All right, moving on. Barrel or nah from a listener. Call in.
Hey guys, I got a barrel and off for you. I'm sitting here in my office, waking off, watching the U.S. Open when I should be working. But I just watched this piece on the One Ocean thing, and Kanoa Igarashi was doing his thing. So I got a quick barrel or not. I can't believe you guys have never talked about this. Males dyeing their hair. I mean, what the F, Kanoa? Like frosted hair? That's like, I don't know. Is it a barrel or is it not? Talk about it later.
I
Kanoa's
feel we
frosted
have
tips.
discussed it. I feel
Have
we
we?
discussed it in the Idolo years, but we probably not as a barrel or not. We probably just discussed Idolo's butterflying. And I'm going to go a surprising. I'm gonna have to go barrel. I was gonna put an age caveat on it, but I'm not. I'm just going to say dyeing your hair as a man. I don't do it. You don't do it. I would respect somebody I knew who did it a lot less. But all that aside,
Especially if he's sitting shotgun.
But I'm going to say that aside, if you've got a compunction, if that's your kink, dyeing your hair, just because I think less of you, doesn't mean you are lesser. Like Kanoa Igarashi, his frosted tips look kind of good on him. I'm not going to lie. He looks K-pop, which is exactly the market he should be going for.
Well, there's two different types of males dyeing their hair. There's him going for, basically accessorizing his look. And then there's the dude who's going gray. And so he wants more black in his hair and he's trying to maintain his youth.
Yep. I mean, and both of those, I'm going to say, it's not for me, but who am I to call that a no barrel? I'm going to say you go for it. Go dye your hair if you really want to. If you want to take both time, energy, and money, three things that are in or should be in short supply for today's out and about man. If you want to take time, energy, money, and go dye your hair, have at it. If it's that important to you.
Yeah, I'm going no barrel on this one for sure. In the case of the older male trying to retain his youth, it looks cringy. First, let me start by saying there is nothing more beautiful than watching somebody age gracefully. When you see Andy McDowell, I don't know why I chose this. Andy McDowell. I should have went with Brad Pitt.
At a funeral actress?
Yeah. Wait, what?
The Four Weddings and a Funeral actress?
She looks gorgeous in her old age, is what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah,
That's what-
great. Andy
that's what I'm
McDowell's
saying.
a real deep cut.
Andy McDowell, Julia Roberts. You know, like I'm trying to identify Hollywood women who have not gotten a bunch of plastic surgery. Like
Sure.
you see her and you're just like, I mean, there's something very, very beautiful about that, you know?
Helen Mirren.
Yeah, exactly. Brad Pitt on the guy's side. You're just like, how is that dude as old as he is? And by the way, he did take measures. It wasn't that he just given up completely. No, he took measures, but it was hydrating regularly and hitting the gym occasionally and
I'm
giving
going to
up
go ahead and
drinking.
guarantee that Brad Pitt dyes his hair. There's
Really?
no way he has that color hair at 57 or whatever. And
Hmm.
it changes. It gets like kind of dustier to kind of, he for sure has a colorist on staff.
I would think that he has a colorist for films that he's working on, but I don't think in his everyday life he's going for a look.
Brad, we need you to call in and either confirm or deny.
Let's focus back on Andy McDowell, okay? Nobody even knows who she is.
Four Weddings and a Funeral, man. She was a starlet.
I mean, when she was young, she was a knockout. She's a 10 and she still is a 10. You know, that's kind of the point is,
Aged gracefully.
so that's the point. Nothing more beautiful than aging gracefully. And so hair dye is a step down from that. And also identifies your self-esteem vulnerability and puts it on display. And so I think that's the cringy part about it for me.
I hear you, but that's not Kanoa. Kanoa is going for a look.
So that's a second thing. So that's one. The second thing is the young guy going for a look. I mean, also cringy to me for some reason. Like, I think you build into your strengths. Like, whatever it is that you're good at, go ahead, hit the gym, try to build into your genetics and like be the best version of yourself. But when you're trying to become something that's not yourself and trying to be, I don't know, a caricature or whatever it is, to me, it just looks like you don't have it within you. So now you are applying lipstick to it to try to make it look like somebody else who you saw that looked cool, who had that hair color. That's what it looks like to me.
I mean, I hear you, but I'm not going to take that away from Kanoa Igarashi. I'm going to let him fly his freak flag.
Yeah, I'm taking it away from him. My other thing is, dude, that amount of time and effort that you devoted to that thing could have also been devoted to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm on the. Okay, I'm going no barrel.
It feels masturbatory to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
instead, focus on winning a world title or reading a book or a relationship in your life or whatever. Whatever you're doing that is just for your own vanity feels like a waste of time and also gonna undercut those other goals. Is how
This is the importance of Barrel or Not, is that you have now convinced me that it is no barrel. You, in fact, were right on this issue, and so we can now share as a unified front to the listener, our male listenership. It is not barrel to dye your hair, man. Don't do it.
Thank you. It's
you
bad.
made a compelling case.
Thank you. And I'll use Italo Ferreira as a perfect example. Italo, the first couple of years on tour, was a major threat, and everybody was afraid of him. Ever since he's hit the gym and posts oiled up abs photos on Instagram, dyed his hair, once it became him, like all of that self-awareness and him being about him and showcasing how good he is when he started losing heats. And by the way, got injured, and all of it kind of went off the rails.
Not even Final Five, not even a prayer to get in the Final Five, really.
Exactly. And there was a time where it was just like
He was going to win everything.
nobody could not focus on him because he was that big of a threat. Now he's focused on himself more than anybody, and as a result, nobody else gives a crap about him. He's not a threat.
Nope. So, in other words, dyeing your hair leads to like a real downgrade in your life.
It was the hair dye itself that infected his brain and worked its way down.
So true. No barrel.
Mark our words. Good thing our listener was watching the U.S. Open and caught Kanoa on air to deliver this, because we really got to the bottom of a major issue.
Good thing. It's so true.
Solved it.